Hello and welcome to another pregame show. What's going on? Matt O'Leary alongside Connor Long of Jets X Factor. Connor, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Matt, doing well. Christmas just 3 days away. Same for everyone who's celebrating Hanukkah. Kicks off night of Christmas, really. So holidays coming up. Hopefully the Jets can give us again something exciting, a good game. I know last week fans are overreacting a bit because you beat the Jaguars in a toilet bowl game, but this is a big test for the Jets. Obviously eliminated from playoff contention, but if you get the young guys to go out and play well, I'm looking for another great game out of Olu Fashanu. Braylon Allen, he's playing today. Looking forward to see what he can do. So I think it's going to be an interesting game for the young guys, and that's who I'm really honing in on and hoping can go out and shine today.
Absolutely. I looked at last week as a game that I thought the Jets would go out there and win, and they did. It was a fun game. They scored a lot of points. Both teams scored a lot of points in that game. And honestly, Connor, I think we see a similar path today. Looking
Yes.
at the Sean McVay run Rams team offensively, I think they are built to put up points on this Jets defense that's really struggled at points this year. And then from an offensive perspective, I mean, the last 2 weeks, I think Aaron Rodgers has played his best football with the Jets. Just looking at how the offense has performed, I think they have the potential to put up, 24 plus points in this game. So I like the overs in this one. Give me
Yes.
all the touchdowns and all the points today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. It's going to be interesting for the Rams. It's a very cold day at MetLife Stadium. I think it's 19 degrees and then winds gusting up to 20 miles per hour. So the Rams, obviously, they have one of the league's weaker rushing attacks this season, but their passing game is just elusive. You have Cooper Kupp, you have Puka Nacua, Tyler Higbee will be playing today. So I think if the Jets want to come out and get a win in what I think will be a shootout today, I think they need to apply a ton of pressure on Matthew Stafford because when he's under pressure, he struggles. I think the Rams haven't allowed many sacks this season yet. They've allowed 28 sacks in 14 games, which is one of the lowest in the league this season. So get to Stafford, apply pressure, and really contain that passing attack.
So I wanted to pull up, I know it's early in here, but I wanted to pull
Yeah,
up Gator's comment
for
because I think
sure.
it's really appropriate for going into this game, saying, let's hope for a huge day from our offense, beat the next two playoff bound teams, and show the league we are no joke, even though we are a total joke. LFG. So that was kind of where I wanted to bring this conversation, Connor,
Yeah.
is talking about like, does it mean anything if you're able to beat the Rams today? Let's say they're 3-point underdogs at home, and then beat the Buffalo Bills, who clearly look like one of the best teams in the league.
I think it means a lot because if this team is able to win out and go 7-10, it's crazy to think of that because this team is going to need to win out to match the record of the past 2 seasons the Jets had with Zach Wilson at the helm, which is just crazy to think without Devontae Adams, without Mike Williams, who was this hyped up free agent signing, without Tyron Smith, who was supposed to be an All Pro this season. So I think it means a lot, especially if the young pieces go out and play well. It's one thing if Hassan Reddick gets 2 sacks, and it's one thing if Jalen Mills gets an interception, and then it's a whole nother thing if Braylon Allen rushes for 2 touchdowns. Sauce Gardner gets another interception for the second week in a row. I think there's a difference between balancing the production from the young guys and also the veterans who are not going to be here in a few weeks. So I'm rooting for wins. I always have. So I think it will mean a lot if you go out and win with the young guys. That's the key, the young guys. I don't think it'll matter much if you go out and make a statement with veterans who are not going to be here in a few weeks. And you're also, Aaron Rodgers is playing for his future with the team and quite frankly, his future in the NFL. And you go ahead, put something together here. You play gritty football. That'll show something to some head coaching candidates that, hey, there's talent. And once they're able to lock in, they're able to play gritty football. This team has potential.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm at the point where like I don't really care about the draft positioning. Like I'm looking at that as a consolation. Like if the Jets go out and maybe last week was the fluke and they lose out and they finish 4-13, then you're talking about it's a horrible year regardless.
Yeah.
And so is 7-10 with the expectations going into the year. But you're probably talking about like, I don't know, the difference between like the fourth pick and the 10th pick, somewhere in that range. And my feeling, honestly, is like whoever the Jets hire at GM, their job is to find someone talented, whether they're picking at pick 4 or number 10. Like, I just don't
Mhm.
have it in me to continue to do these. Oh my God, like they got to lose out. If they don't, they're going to miss on this guy. The draft is a total crapshoot.
Yeah.
And at the same time, though, to be fair, if let's say something miraculous happens, they win their next 3 games, they close the season at 7-10. That then doesn't just give this whole year a free pass, and you go, "Oh, everything's fine. They'll just get a head coach in,
No.
and everything will be great." I think getting the right head coach is a huge part of it, but there's still a lot of work to be done too at the same time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like a lot of there are a lot of question marks though still with this team. Obviously, from the coaching side of things, head coach, GM, but also with some of the players like Devontae Adams. Matt is a really interesting one. Great game, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns after having a catchless first half in Jacksonville last week. There's, where do you stand right now with him? Because you could cut him at the end of the season. You save $36 million in cap room and only eat $2 million in dead cap, or you could keep him whether Rodgers is here or he's not. Where do you stand with Adams right now? I want to keep him either way because I think he's a leader on this team and he still has a ton of potential left in the tank.
I was gonna say if we're going the keep route, can the option be rework his contract? Because I don't want him back on his current deal, but if you're able to
Yeah,
redo it, then
I
I keep him.
I know you are able to redo it. I'm going to pull something up here.
Sure.
Jets X Factor's Michael Nania had a mock off season come out not too long ago, and he had the Jets restructuring Adams deal. So I'm going to try to get it here.
Perfect.
Stand by. Getting in the article now. Option. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pull this up here on the screen, and this is what Nania has the Jets doing with Adams' contract. So restructures Devontae Adams. You could bring his cap hit down from 38 million next season to 18. So, and then you still have 81. Well, he has a lot of cuts there, but still you have a lot of cap room if you restructure his deal. Are you for that, or do you kind of just want to eat it?
No, I would do this. I know that he's not, and this is kind of what he's saying in the article. He's not a superstar, but he is still a really damn good receiver, whether Rodgers is back or not. Like, under the assumption Rodgers is back, one, that's someone that he's clearly comfortable with. But also, number two, if the Jets go a different direction at quarterback, and let's just use the argument that they draft a quarterback, right? It's not a guarantee that they do, but let's just, for argument's sake, let's do it. The Jets almost never put their young quarterbacks in an offense with so much star power and so much help. And, they would have Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. They would have Breece Hall. They would have their franchise left tackle. Like you would be then putting a quarterback in in a spot where they could be really successful. And I don't know how many more years Adams has left in the tank. Maybe it's only 1 or 2, but I'm definitely open to it. And I think an Adams and Garrett Wilson duo, a full year of that could be really deadly. I just don't want to see, and I'm not saying this would be the case because it really hasn't been this year. If Devontae Adams was to come back with, let's say, Aaron Rodgers, I don't want Garrett Wilson to then turn into the forgotten guy. Like, I don't think you need to force feed Devontae Adams like 1,500 receiving yards and then like Garrett's hanging at like 800. But those are two guys where I think they could both hang around 1,000 yards, with honestly Garrett getting the lion's share. I think at this point in his career, he is more of a wide receiver one than what Devontae had. Actually, maybe that's a little harsh. They're probably both solid wide receiver ones, and that's a really good spot to be in.
Yeah, I agree. I just think Garrett, he's 67 yards away now from 1,000 yards this season. I think there's a strong chance that he hits it today. Where do you stand overall with the trade rumors we're potentially hearing with him? You're riding it out with his contract, or you're even if you request the trade. I mean, the Jets have all the leverage in the situation right now, even if he does request the trade. So where do you stand with that? I think he's here long term.
I do as well. I had a tweet which sounded a little controversial at the time based on everyone's reaction to Garrett Wilson's comments to the media this week. But I think it's more likely Garrett Wilson signs a contract extension this offseason than he gets traded. I really find it hard to believe that if the Jets get the hires right, like, can we use the Mike Vrabel analogy, for instance, because he supposedly has some interest in this job. If the Jets hire Mike Vrabel, am I to believe that the former Ohio State player can't convince the other Ohio State player to stay and like buy into the vision? I'm not there on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes though, like who's the quarterback next season, for example. Garrett was on the record saying a few weeks ago with Kay Adams that they knew when Rodgers came that this was the 2-year window they had to win. Last year, we all know what happened, and this year. So he said anything after this is viewed as a cherry on top. So he's clearly not fully like locked in on Rodgers, and it seems what he said there, he might have some flexibility next season. Where do you stand with the quarterback position next year? You mentioned drafting a young guy. Are you for potentially starting a Justin Fields or a Tyrod Taylor next season and letting a Jalen Milroe, he might go back to school, but even a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders if the Jets climb that high in the order? Are you for starting the veteran and letting the rookie sit back for a season or two?
Yeah, I definitely am. If the Jets are to go the draft a quarterback route, whether it's in the first round, second, like wherever they take one, if Rodgers isn't the guy, I'm okay with Tyrod being the bridge guy for a year. I've always been a big Tyrod Taylor fan. I know injuries have been a concern with him in his career. You could say the same thing about a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers who's been hurt the last 3 years too. So I think Tyrod could be fine in this offense. And if he does get banged up, well, then there's your opportunity to work in your young quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to both of our channels at Matt O'Leary NY, at NY Flight Jets. Talk about ready to get into some of the calls.
Yeah, let's do the super chat first, and
Oh
then
yeah,
we'll
for sure. I didn't see that
go
come
to
in. There
go
we
to
go.
Doug.
Yeah.
So Jacob says the fact that 7-10 is the ceiling of this season is wild. Yeah, if you told me before the year that the Jets are going to go 7-10, and at this point now, like on December 22nd, that's best case scenario. But if you said in August the Jets' best case scenario is going 7-10, I would have looked at you like you had seven heads.
Yeah, 7-10. I think if you told me that before the season, as crazy it sounds, Matt, I think the Jets. I would have thought the Jets had a better chance of going 14-3, for example,
Yes.
than 7-10. I mean, this has been the absolute worst case scenario. And Matt, something that's been floating around is, oh well, if the Jets just kept Robert Saleh, this is a different scenario. This team could be competing for a playoff spot right now. Where do you stand with that? Do you think the Jets would have any more wins right now if they had Saleh?
Maybe one or two. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, unfortunately. Clearly, he wasn't very good at his job, and Ulbrich hasn't been either. Like,
Oh, no, yeah.
this isn't an Ulbrich apology tour. I just don't think it really makes a huge difference. It stinks, but hopefully they get this next hire right and they go from there. But anyway, let's hop into these calls. We got a few lined up.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's go out to our guy Doug on the couch who's joining us here. Doug, what's going on?
Living the dream. What else could be better than being a Jets fan, right?
Look at this. You are ready for the cold weather today, wrapped under a blanket on
I'm
the.
staying in my girlfriend's apartment right now, and it's freezing in here. I had to turn the radiator on, but it is freezing cold in here. So I am bundled up. It is very effing cold. So that's why I'm bundled up. But I'm back on the couch, so positives, right?
Good.
Positives.
Yes, not on the bed.
I mean, guys, we're getting closer to the D-Day that Doug co-hosted episode.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. It's gonna be epic. What are we going to talk about? The season's going to be over. Who cares? But
yeah.
Excuse me. I think the Jets will cover the spread today. But I agree with you guys. You were saying in the little before the show started, because I'm always the first one here. I believe that it's going to be a shootout again. I believe it. Okay. I agree with that. The Rams don't really travel that well, especially to the East Coast. Like you've seen a lot of the games, like they don't travel that well to the East Coast. So, yeah, going to be a shootout. Football, yay! I mean, I'm never gonna go into a season excited again. I just can't.
I don't think I can have any expectations for the Jets the rest of my life.
They got to prove
it. Connor, you're 13. You don't get it. You haven't even seen the good. You haven't even seen the good of us.
Nope.
You don't get it. Like I've seen the good. I know we can do it. I've seen it. It's been 13. It's been before you were born, but I've seen it. Matt, you've seen it. We've seen it.
I know. I feel for Connor, man, and for these younger Jet fans who unfortunately got into the game, let's say in the mid 2010s or pretty much any point after 2010.
I feel bad for anyone who didn't get to experience the first 2 years of Rex.
Yep. Yeah, like for example, Matt, I'm sure Doug, you know him too. Michael Nania, he's obviously a huge analytical stat guy when it comes to the Jets. His first season getting into football and becoming like a diehard Jets fan was the 2011 season.
Just missed it.
So yeah,
Oh,
just missed it.
oh,
So he's been
that
analytical and all
season-
this, and he still hasn't seen a playoff game, just like
That
me.
season sucked too, because it was similar to the Favre year. We were out like 8-3 or something, or 8-4, and then there was that game in Denver with fucking Tebow, and
Yeah.
that's out from there because we had a chance to play. I mean, I just choked it with fucking Tebow.
That was the
All right, for language. I know
yeah.
there's kids watching. I apologize for my language. The
It's
Jets
okay.
get me angry. Connor, you're a kid. I know there's a kid hosting the show. Excuse me. But yeah, no. I feel bad for Jets fans who haven't seen the playoffs ever.
It was fun. Man, I know you're a little younger than me, but do you remember like 04 and 06 at all?
I remember the Steelers, Doug Bryant missing the kick against the Steelers. It was a gimme. They would have won, and then they would have played the who would they play? They would have played Patriots, right? Yeah, it was a championship game. And then 06, I don't remember. I know we just got murdered by the Pats, but
that was rough. But it was fun to that year. There were no expectations going into that season. They were very surprised, 10-6.
I can't tell you that.
Was that 2015? Yeah, you're talking about?
No, 2006.
Oh, 2006. Okay.
Way before you even have thought, Connor.
Yeah, Mangini's first year. Great. Yeah. My favorite draft.
Oh, and then Mangini just fell off right after that. Boom. One good season down the drain.
It's not even close, though. The 09-10, the 2010 season, 10-11 with the 11 playoffs is by far my favorite season ever as a Jets fan. Because the way we beat, I'm in a family of Patriots fans. So when we beat the Patriots, I was convinced we were going to the Super Bowl. Convinced. I thought, we had already beat the Steelers earlier that year. It's a good matchup. We got them. We beat them at Pittsburgh, too. It's like, we got it. We can do this. Then we come out the first half like crap. Second half, they're going. And then they pass it on fourth down. And if it wasn't for that fourth down, and we got the ball back, I know you were going to score. And the Packers, we had played earlier that year. We lost like 9-3 or 9-6. I think we would have beaten the Packers the second time. That team was so that team was so good. So good.
Frustrating, man.
And we haven't been back since the playoffs.
Nope. Haven't been back since. It's just crazy to think.
Like Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. 09, that was like, he had the Rex, we're done. We're not going to. And then you kind of got like the QB matchups in that playoffs. Like you had the Bengals, and then you had the Chargers.
The Chargers, yeah.
Like those are the easier matchups. And then when you get to the Colts, they got up to the great start, and then they just shit the bed.
Yeah, the second half was tough in that game.
Yeah, and then the next year, it's like, okay, you go beat Peyton Manning, you go beat Tom Brady, and then boom, you're there. Go beat Ben Roethlisberger. And then, sorry, I'm getting angry. But yeah, main point of all this, I'm never going into a season with expectations again, because besides 2015, the only enjoyable season I've had was 2 years ago, because that came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that was such a fun. I remember that season kick-started with Flacco in week 2. The onside kick. I remember I was like, okay, the game's over. Then Corey Davis scored.
I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings. I remember it because they scored like the Browns scored, or Nick Chubb scored. It's like it's over. Yeah. I'm going home.
Yeah.
And then I see I still follow the phone on my app. I see Corey Davis 76-yard touchdown. Oh, okay. They never get the onside kick anymore, so the game's over.
Yeah, and then Hardy,
keeps recover. I'm like, holy shit, is this really happening right now?
And you still have to drive down the field and score a touchdown, and Joe Flacco does it. And I remember there was like a fake punt earlier in the first half in that game, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think
that was like just a fun game. That was probably one of the most fun.
And it's also if Mike White ribs don't explode, we would have beat the Vikings and Braxton Berrios.
That's what I was just about to say. If Braxton Berrios held on to the football.
If Mike White doesn't get his ribs exploded, I think we would have beat the Lions.
That was a terrible game. That was just such a.
I know it was, Connor. But the main point is that was a fun season though, because we didn't expect any of it.
Correct.
So, but this, like last year, we got Rodgers. We're gonna be great. 4 plays, season's over. This year, all right, he's back. He's healthy. 2-1. We're doing great. We're feeling high. I was like, man, we're finally going to do it. Finally be good. Everything goes downhill after that.
Season ends in Denver. No, at home against Denver.
Enjoy anything. And also, like all the New York sports teams besides the Knicks suck right now because the Yankees and Mets are in the offseason. I thought each have good offseasons. The Yankees have pivoted well since losing Soto. Obviously, the Mets getting Soto. The Rangers and Islanders suck right now.
Yeah, they're
They
a mess.
suck. Who cares about the Devils? They're in New Jersey. Yeah. But there's nothing good about being a New York sports fan right now, unless you're a Knicks fan. And I don't really like basketball.
I'm with you. It's tough. It's a tough time to be a New York sports fan. Baseball save us.
I'm convinced Jets fans were terrible people in past lives. Because what did we do to deserve this? Were you Pol Pot in your past life and just like murdered everyone in Cambodia?
Possibly, because like you said, I don't know what we possibly did to deserve this outcome.
It's not fair. And Boston sports fans get everything that they ever wanted.
Oh yeah.
And I live in Boston, so like it's not fair.
Yeah. And like literally all the Boston teams are rival to some New York teams. You have the Jets pad.
So yeah, the Yankees have been good, the Rangers have been good, and I did get my college team win a national championship in hockey. So I've seen some championships, but I would sincerely, I told you guys, I would go blind for 2 years if that meant the Jets could win the Super Bowl.
You said you'd go to the parade though. You'd have to go to the parade.
No, I said the day after the parade, I wake up, I'm blind. 2 years and be like, 2 years, Doug, you can't see. It would be worth it.
So you wouldn't be able to watch the Jets for 2 years.
I could hear about it.
Okay.
I could hear about them. I could figure out what it's like to be blind. Good learning abilities. My other senses would become stronger. And then again, I would get to see the Jets win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Sorry. That just came to me to ranting and reminiscing. I apologize. I think the Jets will cover the spread. I agree with you. Take the over. Who cares if we win or lose? I just want it to be enjoyable. I feel like that's what everyone's at. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Absolutely. I think the Jets defense, I just think the passing attack for the Rams is just going to be on all day. I think there's going to be a ton of deep touchdowns from them today.
And this is just a tease of what you might get in 2 weeks. Ho, ho, ho.
It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it, Doug. Enjoy the game, my friend.
You guys have a good one. Enjoy the game.
You too. Great stuff.
Let's keep it rolling. James is up next. James, what's going on? How are you?
What's going on, guys? What's up, Matt? Hey, Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing well, James. How are you?
Besides, the Jets sucking this year and me getting a divorce, I am A-okay.
All right. Here's 25 being your year, bud.
Yep. Definitely, man. I'm just hoping for a good game today. I expect a shootout today. I want Aaron Rodgers back. I mean, there's no quarterbacks out there. I don't like the quarterbacks in the draft. But I want to ask Matt this scenario.
Sure.
What if Mike Vrabel is the head coach, and let's say the head coach of Cleveland shakes free and he becomes an offensive coordinator? How exciting would you be for that? If that's a possibility, you think that's a possibility?
I would be thrilled. I would if Stefanski gets fired, which I don't think he does. I think he'd
be a head coach.
I think someone would hire him as a head coach. But if you're telling me I could get Vrabel as the head coach and Stefanski as the offensive coordinator, I don't know if there's a better scenario than that.
No. Yeah.
Definitely.
I agree. Even if Stefanski gets fired, he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else. I think the Chicago job could be interesting for someone like him with an offensive mind. He could work with Caleb because, remember, Stefanski had success in Cleveland with that crazy Deshaun Watson contract, and he was still able to find out a way to have some success. So I could see him maybe the problem with the Jets right now and why I think an offensive guru like Stefanski wouldn't take the Jets job, even as a head coach, is because he doesn't know who the team's quarterback is going to be next season. And I could see him, rather taking a job even in, Jacksonville, where you still have Trevor Lawrence to work with. He's on a crazy deal, but he's still young. He has potential. Or Chicago, where you have a guy like, Caleb Williams. A name to watch, I think, though, James, who could be exciting for offensive coordinator, is Anthony Lynn. He's the running back coach and the run game coordinator for the Commanders right now. He was the Chargers head coach for 4 seasons. He's an interesting name to watch as a potential coordinator next season.
Okay. What about Cliff Kingsbury? My brother been mentioning Cliff Kingsbury. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm a fan of Kingsbury.
Connor loves him. Connor might be the Kingsbury #1 fan here on this.
Yeah, I'm the president of the Cliff Kingsbury fan club, James. I like him because
Connor, so what makes you think like Cliff Kingsbury can handle the circus of New York / New Jersey?
Well, to be honest, To be fair, he served as a backup quarterback for the Jets for one season. Didn't get any playing time, but he spent a season in the New York market as a player. He has head coaching experience. He went 28-37 his first run as a head coach. Arizona took a team to the playoffs. The thing I like about him most, especially if the Jets draft a quarterback this year, is the work that he's done with young quarterbacks throughout his coaching career. The way he worked with Patrick Mahomes a ton during his college days, helped develop Kyler Murray. Now you look what the instrumental things he's accomplished with Washington and Jaden Daniels in their offense, and going from 4-13 last season to the ability to clinch playoff berth today with a win in Philly. So I really like what he does, his work with developing quarterbacks. But if the Jets are going to go the veteran route this season, use an Aaron Rodgers, a Tyrod Taylor, a Justin Fields as a bridge quarterback, I'm going to stay away from him. I like him if you're going to bring in young blood at the quarterback position.
That's awesome. I mean, I don't trust any other quarterbacks in this draft. I mean, we do get an offensive guru in here. That's a leader of men, and I can, take on the Woody Johnson head case that he is. Man, what's what you saying in my head is mad. What I'm thinking about Jordan Travis, I mean, I know the guy is coming off. I think Matt mentioned it. He will be coming off 20 months after the injury, I believe.
Is it a broken leg too? Yeah.
Yeah, we still haven't seen what the kid is made of. I mean, we should give him a chance next year. The coaching staff next year should be able to give him a chance. That'll be wasting a 5th round pick if he doesn't give a shot next year in training camp. I like the kid a lot. And he also sat behind Aaron Rodgers this year, so who knows?
He did. I don't disagree with giving him. I have no idea what he's going to be at level after missing all that time.
Yeah, I'm with Matt on this one 1,000%. What I've been saying recently is people obviously turn their attention to Travis, as they should, James. I mean, he's a ton of success in college. If he didn't break his leg, he would have been a 2nd or 3rd round pick. He eventually fell to the Jets in the 5th round. I really liked him in the pre-draft evaluation process. My mentality with him is he's obviously coming off this gruesome injury. Give him a shot in, obviously, training camp. Play him a lot during the preseason, but I think the mentality we should be focusing on right now as Jet fans is we should not expect anything out of Jordan Travis. We should anticipate that he does not play a snap in the NFL based on his injury, and anything that we get from him is a complete bonus. I think that's the way I'm looking at the Jordan Travis situation, just given his production in college paired with the gruesome injury that he suffered. I think anything that you get out of him at the NFL level is a bonus. I don't think you could rely on him maybe as a backup quarterback in this league, but 1,000% not as a starter next season.
Awesome. I got one more thing, Matt and Connor. What's Ahmad Gardner we're getting today? Are we going to get soft Gardner, or Sauce is finally going to show up today?
I think he rides the momentum of getting his first pick of the year last week. I'm thinking we get a good Sauce Gardner game this week. At least that's what I'm hoping.
I hope so too, guys. I hope so too. It's getting cold out. It's cold out here in Jersey. I'm in Newark, so it's freezing out here. But good. Happy holidays to you guys, and of course, go Jets.
You too.
Thank you, James. Great stuff.
Love that. Good call as always from our guy James. And now to our favorite Chiefs fan who always checks in on us, King Jamie the Mad, riding high after a Chiefs W yesterday. What's going on?
Yeah, King.
Yeah, I was pretty happy, guys. Hey, I just wanted to say, James, don't listen to what Doug said. New Jersey's actually pretty cool. I've gone there quite a few times, and I like you guys. So, I want to give a shout out to Rich in the chat. That's one of the most loyal, faithful Jets fans I've seen in probably the last 6 years, and I've been watching you guys.
Yeah.
So, Rich, yeah, keep up that faith, buddy. So, I think everybody in the NFC West, the circus that it is. Those teams should all be better, but everybody loses this week except for the Cardinals. That's my crazy take for the day.
Okay, so Jets end up pulling off an upset win today. Is your take?
And Miami pulling off a win.
I
mean, the 49ers don't have very much, bro. I don't know why either. That's the most expensive team I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're banged up too, man.
Yeah. I mean, they were just riddled with injuries all season long. They had so much potential, especially the last season of Brock Purdy's rookie deal the last season without having to give him the bag. I think they had so much potential to be like a 13-4 caliber team this year and make another push at the NFC Championship. Christian McCaffrey though, clearly can't stay on the field, and they've again the whole the scenario where the guy didn't want to enter the game last week. They've just been a mess so far. So
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like the Jets, but in a sense where they were just simply riddled with injuries and they didn't lose games because of missed kicks and bad coaching. Like they're still one of the best coach teams in all of football. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive minds, one of, if not the best.
I can't let you get away with that, man. I cannot let you get away with that, Connor. Look, I understand you are such a cool guy that you give props to everybody, no matter what their position in the league is. But Kyle Shanahan still uses his daddy's plays, and he screws them up. He's using his daddy's playbook. And who played against his daddy for decades? Right? And he's wondering why it's not working, you know? Okay, Kyle messed up in the Super Bowl, blamed it on his DC.
Well,
right?
yeah,
He messes up and blames somebody and fires them every time. He's never once taken the blame. And I've seen coaches go, oh, yeah, it was a bad game plan. I could have prepared better, and actually take it. But Shanahan doesn't have that inside him. That's not a winner. No, that's a me. I would never want Shanahan to be my coach, bro. Ever. Matt, but I tell you what, I liked what you said about Anthony Lynn coming in. That guy's a genius, dude.
Yeah.
He wouldn't pass the buck.
I don't think he'd be a good I don't think he would be like a great head coach. But I'd take him as an offensive coordinator any day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially if you get an offensive mind in, so he could work with the offense, but not have, the full responsibility to call offensive plays at the same time.
Yeah, for sure, man. Kingsley too. Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry.
Yeah, Kingsbury. Yeah, man. I got Kingsley on my team, so it clicks,
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think that the guys that say they want to tank, they don't understand that if you get the good coaches in there, you can take anybody and make it all the way. Anybody. And if you can't, one fancy rookie is not going to fix your problem, So tanking is just it blows my mind that people think about that, because I've been watching the Chiefs take the last pick every stinking year, for 6 years now, even second to last, whatever it is, and we're using those rookies, and most of them are on the field right now in this 14-1 season.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the coaches, man. If you get that head office in there, you get one guy to quit playing freaking Madden and trying to figure out who's the best on the field because of a video game. Kick that guy in the back of the skull and send him to the hospital. Maybe you'll start winning. My goodness gracious. If my kid was ruining my business, I would put on my biggest left boot and punt him.
Yeah,
they need that.
Yeah, I agree. Jamie, where do you stand in that whole athletic bombshell report that got released? What are you buying? What are you, thinking is BS?
I find it really hard to believe the entire thing.
I think
any of these things
somewhere in the middle, for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm falling. Just like half and half. Like about half of it might be correct, but so it's all about entertainment. So people want to get clicks. They want people to read their article, and so they might embellish some things. So it probably wasn't all Madden. There might have been one guy who was like, "Look at this guy's thing, holy cats, let's maybe for once let's try it." It might have been just a one-time thing. But they made it sound like this guy was going through the roster and taking them all,
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy to me. That was pretty crazy. Almost as crazy as asking Matt if he was Pol Pot in a different life.
What did I do to deserve that question?
Yeah, dude. I was like, what in the world is happening right now? Pol Pot, one of the nastiest people ever in the history of man, Oh, you think Hitler killed a lot? Oh my goodness. Yep. I would think Matt was Emperor Constantine from Ireland, maybe.
I'll take that. All right.
Yeah, but all he did was take care of his peoples, Yeah. But Pol Pot, oh my goodness.
Hilarious.
I love the show, man. This is awesome.
Thank you, King Jamie. You're going to be watching the Jets today with your Chiefs already played?
Absolutely. I don't miss a game if my Chiefs are not playing you guys. I'm definitely there if my Chiefs are playing you guys. But yeah, I've been supporting you guys for a lot of years. You're my second favorite team, you know. I
There we
hope the
go.
best for you guys. You know, there was a time when the Chiefs looked this bad and I stayed with them. You know, I watch people hop teams all the time, and I'm like, what in the crap are you doing? I know your team's out and you could root for another team. But even when the Chiefs were out, I was still popping my
Yeah.
gear, you know.
Was it ever 14 years though, Jamie? Was it ever over a decade?
So, yeah, dude, for like 30 years, if we did make a playoff, we were out first round.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, for real, bro. Like, we had sparks about once a decade. We would get a team that kept us just faithful enough that we didn't just not go, you know?
Yeah.
they just milked us along, you know? And then when we finally dialed it in and got Reed and Spags, and honestly, it was when our owner's son took over, he kept what Marty Schottenheimer showed him. So when Clark Hunt was a kid, he watched, you know, he's roughly my age, you know. So since he was a kid, I was a kid, right? And so he watched what Marty Schottenheimer did. He came in and he changed it from going out and getting your nose bloody every Sunday and working real hard and hoping that's going to do it to I'm protecting my brother that's right next to me. And it turned into a family and it evolved into a kingdom, you know, and Clark seen that and he made the right decisions for the club. And now look at what he did. I blame my owner for all this awesomeness. And my owner's son, okay, I should say. Now, wouldn't it be awesome if your owner's son would turn it into a family, like a brotherhood?
Or just get
I
out
think
of the
that
locker room.
starts. I think it starts up top, man. I really do, and that's it. The old saying, "Crap rolls downhill." Well, so does gold. A gold coin's around; it rolls downhill too. You know, you don't have to spend all the gold.
Yeah.
What you got to do is you got to get a good GM that brings in the right guys. You got to let your coach make the decisions. Make the decisions. That's what Andy Reid said. Give me all the power. And Clark was like, all right, let's do it. This is why you didn't get them all over in Philadelphia, is because they kept stalling you out, not giving you the power.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many little variables that can fall into place and just make it the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Even in the worst stinking season, everybody says it, the worst season the Chiefs have ever had. They're 14-1, for goodness sake. You know, that's coaching. We're on third stringers, babe.
Exactly. It's all coaching. And I think that's something the new regime is going to ask for when they come in. If you want a Mike Vrabel, a John Dorsey, a Thomas Dimitroff for that new regime, they're going to say, hey, Woody. Yeah, they're going to say, hey, Woody, we need full autonomy over this team. You have to get out of our way. We'll take this job if you get out of our way and you let us do our job. Yep. That's the faith you have to instill.
I can't imagine having to go against Vrabel and Lynn together.
That would be beautiful. Or
that would be scary to me, bro. Yeah, you guys would beat us out, you know.
Yeah, Vrabel and Lynn. But again, I don't want to get. Last time we saw Lynn call offensive plays, it was a mess in Detroit.
Right, but you think Vrabel's going to let him get away with any crap?
No, that's Vrabel's.
You got a guy like Vrabel, and even I'll stand up and clinch. You know, that'd be like having Dick Butkus as your coach. Sir, yes, sir. You know,
exactly. No one's messing around with Vrabel.
Yeah.
But he would also bring in that brotherhood feel, though. That's what I like about Vrabel.
And he'd also have control over the locker room. Like right now, Jeff Ulbrich has no control over the locker room, and Robert Saleh didn't. To say that Saleh should have stayed here. Robert Saleh didn't have any control over the locker room when he was here either. And that's why the whole thing of Aaron Rodgers playing through all these injuries.
Yeah.
The question I'm asking myself is, even do you think Ulbrich or Salah at the time would have been able to tell Rodgers to sit and you're not playing? Because that's the thing. I just don't think
the only problem with Salah was everybody on the defense right to attention.
Yep.
But everybody on the offense thought they knew better.
Yep.
Now it's just nothing.
Yeah, it will. But seriously, Salah could not rein in the offense. That was a wild stallion that thought it knew better than the rider, So Vrabel would walk in there, and both the offense and defense would have to respect that man. You know what I mean? And I realized that, to me, being defense is my favorite, man. I want to see your receiver get smashed. I want to see your quarterback get mushed.
Yeah.
Old school football.
But to me, Salah was perfect. But I'm only the side of the ball. My offense goes out there, and I don't even care how they do. I can't wait for my defense to get back on the field. I don't know why, because I know they need rest. But I like seeing my guys go out there and do good, And so to me, Salah was perfect. But to a guy who's, say, a quarterback or a offensive lineman, any position on an offense, you would look at a guy that was straight defense his whole career and be like, come on, man, you don't know what's up over here. It's like asking a bricklayer to come and cut this diamond for me,
Same.
No, I'm going to ask him to lay the bricks. I'm going to get this diamond cutter over here to cut the diamond for me. So I guess that's the way I kind of look at it. So that's why I think if you guys are lucky enough to get Vrabel, and I mean, that's what I'm calling it, is lucky, because that guy, if Andy Reid retires, I might want him.
I think he's the best available guy, and that's who I'm.
The best available.
Exactly.
And he's one that can contend with Harbaugh's. And once Andy Reid retires, Harbaugh's are going to be taking over the AFC, boys. No matter how old that guy looks, and that mouth breather over there in the Chargers, boy, his team really respects him.
Yeah, they do.
And he's a genius, and he's been to the big shows. So Harbaugh's are scary, and Lamar having his peak years. Like his peak year, I would say, was the 2019, 2020.
Yep.
And then this year, I mean, he's right back to his peak.
I think this is the best season of his career, because the one knock against him was inconsistency from like an accuracy standpoint as a passer. Right. That was the one knock against his game entering this season. Now he's all right,
but I look back at his 2019, 2020, because he had 1,200 rushing yards. He only had 2 more interceptions than he does now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is just information on the top of my head from what I'm trying to remember. I can't believe I'm remembering this correctly. But Lamar is just an animal, dude. That kid is at his pinnacle. And my goodness, he's got a Derrick Henry. So Harbaugh knows what he's doing. He knows what pieces to bring in. Both Harbaughs do. I mean, look at what the one guy just did at the Chargers. He's got him in the playoffs right now.
Yep.
And all they got to do is just keep on trying to get them W's, and they're in. And that's his first year in the league. The Chargers sucked butt last year, man. And I mean, I respect the crap out of the Chargers. It's probably my other team in the AFC West that I just kind of enjoy watching them play.
That's like me with the Bills, I feel like. Like, I don't like the Bills. I don't want them to win, but they're fun to watch.
It's the enemy, but gosh, it's sure is fun to watch them,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think if you guys got Vrabel, you'll be able to contend for years against the Harbaughs. And that's what the league needs. I think the Bills probably need to get rid of a defensive coordinator. Boy. They're letting people put 40 burgers on them. That's not going to hang in the playoffs, baby. Because if you think that the Detroit Lions are going to score 40 points against the Chiefs, you're up in the night. My defense will pound them into the ground. The Bills ain't going to do it again. We do this to the Bills every year. We play Boy Scout football, regular high school plays against everybody all season long, and then crack open that can in the playoffs. And honestly, we've seen everybody's top game because everybody tries to beat us with their A game.
Mm-hmm.
So my rookies are ready, and they're mostly rookies. We got Hollywood Brown back. I don't think anybody's going to be scoring no 40 points on us in the playoffs, but I think they will against the Bills. And the Bills are going to be playing keep ahead of them. So they're going to be having to score every single drive. That does not work in the playoffs, man. You better be able to win a 20-19 game or whatever it is, So I think next year, I hope the Jets get this figured out and you guys can make a playoff run finally next year. I've been rooting for this for years. The guys that have seen me around know I've always had your backs. I'll go onto other people's channels and I'll stick up for the Jets.
He's the
And it's hard.
Love him.
Oh, it's hard. You guys don't make it very easy on me.
No.
Jamie,
I'm going to let you guys get to different callers.
have a
Great
good
stuff.
day. Love it.
Matt, two things here before we move on to the next calls. I know Jamie kind of, did not like my Kyle Shanahan argument. Would you like him as the head coach of the Jets? If he's up for trade, what are you giving up for Kyle Shanahan? I saw a comment saying, let me
Yes,
find
you
it,
can pull that up.
from Hurtis. Yeah. I'm going to try to scroll up in the chat. But yeah, would you take him as the head coach of the Jets? And do you like him as a head coach in this league?
I do, and I understand where Jamie is coming from on it. I get his perspective. I don't know if I'm giving up 3 first round picks for Kyle Shanahan. That's a lot, but what he's able to do on the offensive side of the ball is really, really impressive, and he's done it in so many different stops as well. Which also I think is an added bonus. He's gotten a ton out of quarterbacks like Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy, who I think have their limitations. But I think he is a special offensive talent. I get it. The teams have come up short. He's had some questionable decisions in big moments in the Super Bowl. I understand all that, but I think he's a hell of an offensive coach.
Yeah, I think he's a great mind, and then he's a great – I don't know if he's a great leader of men, but I think he's a great offensive mind at the same time. And that's kind of like – that's where I like Vrabel. He's a stout defensive mind. He has a ton of head coaching experience, and he's a leader of men. Like something we've seen a ton in Jets history was you had Herm Edwards come in as the head coach of this team in the early 2000s. He had incredible energy. He was built to be a head coach in the New York market from like an energy personality standpoint. But then he didn't have like the best X's and O's in the world. And then you move on. You dig. Then you find Rex Ryan, who's the head coach of the Jets, who's a leader of men. He's the best. He's great X's and O's, and he's the personality's built for the New York market. So I think it's kind of like finding those 3 things combined together, which is going to like build the best head coach in this market. That's why I like a Brian Flores and a Mike Vrabel.
I love it. Before we get back into the calls, we have a couple of Bang Mateo super chats that I want to pull up. First one, he's not in on Jordan Travis. He's saying Trace McSorley, 2.0. That would be disappointing if that's the career that Jordan Travis ends up having.
I have a McSorley jersey.
Do you really?
Yep, from his Ravens days.
The Ravens, okay.
I remember I was just obsessed. He had that crazy song come out when I was like 10, and I'm like, I'm getting a Tracy McSorley jersey. And I haven't.
Unbelievable.
I'll bring it out on the next pregame show. We'll do that.
I love that. And then 10%, the Madden thing being true is too much. What a mess. You know what I think happened? Here's my theory on it, Connor. I think that it's Brick and the other kid. Was it Jack Johnson?
Jack, yeah.
I think they probably have mentioned or brought up Madden ratings to their dad. I don't know if it's enough for him to like stop the Jerry Jeudy trade, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we saw heard Woody Johnson making Madden references to the Jets front office, which is still nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy that we're even talking about this, Matt, that somehow Madden ratings were brought up in, a front office setting. It's insane that we're talking about it. I think Kaz pretty much hit it right on the head when he was talking about it on his pod, Gangs All Here. He pretty much said he thinks, from what he's hearing, Woody brought it up in a meeting, but it didn't completely nix the trade. Bringing up a Madden rating in the middle of a meeting when you're talking, that's still insane. Like, don't get me wrong. That is alarming. That's troubling. That's whatever you want to call it. But from what it's, I think nixing the trade was a bit of an exaggeration there. I think from, hearing Kaz, hearing Rossini, hearing Rosenblatt kind of put it in the middle, I think that it was possibly brought up in a meeting, but it completely didn't, nix the trade. So I think it was something that was brought up, but it didn't really play much of a role in the trade. And now they're saying him wanting to bench Rodgers after week 4 was a joke that he made, and he was trying to see other. Yeah, it's a mess.
No matter the context, if he brought it up seriously or as a joke, still just
the fact that you even those words came out of your mouth. Jerry Jeudy does not have a high enough Madden rating. That's it's insane. Let's see, Matt. I'll pull up before we get back to the phone lines.
Sure.
Inactive list is out.
Okay.
Let's get it up for today. Jalen Simpson, MC2, Xavier Newman, Jarek Bernard, Converse. Quinnen Williams, he was questionable. They were going to test him out in pregame warmups today. Looks like he's a no-go. Big loss for the Jets. Want to see what the interior rotation looks like today. I expect a lot out of Leonard Taylor III without Q in the defensive line rotation today. Jake Hansen. Matt, Malachi Corley is active. He's active. Let's go. What
10 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown.
is he going to drop the ball before he crosses the goal line?
I think he learned his lesson.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that list? What do you expect out of the defensive line rotation today? And Corley, is it, a 2-catch, 6-yard game, or is it a 10-catch, 100-yard game? Somewhere in the middle. Where are you thinking today?
I'm going to say Corley has 2 touches, either 2 catches or one an end around. 2 touches today. And I'm worried even more about the Rams offense with Quinnen Williams out. I do think we see a lot more Leonard Taylor, but the interior defensive line outside of Quinnen Williams really hasn't done a whole lot at all this year. So whatever, I'm going to look up some Kyron Williams overs because I think he has a huge rushing day and probably gets in the end zone a time or 2 as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we see a lot of Leonard Taylor. I don't want to see much of Javon Kinlaw. He's been an absolute mess this season. But yeah, I think this opens up opportunities now for the Rams rushing attack today. It is important to note that Garafolo put out a tweet. Garafolo and Rappaport reported last night that if Quinnen was able to play today, it would have been in a very limited role anyways. So I don't think that affects really the Jets' game plan for today from a defensive standpoint, but still a big loss. Quinnen Williams obviously has been a huge contributor throughout his career, and especially this season for the Jets, whether it's stopping the run or applying pressure on, passing down. So big loss for the Jets today. Hopefully they could rebound, and it doesn't make much of a difference.
Absolutely. Back to the calls.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go out to Sad Central Illinois Jet fan. What's going on here?
Well, what's going on? I thought it'd be fitting just because I really didn't have anything too specific to bring up in terms of coaching search or drama or anything like that. So I was just like, I'll give a better explanation as to how these two worlds collided. So growing up, if you want to look up, I don't know exactly when he played, but essentially my mom had a good friend and her good friend's brother. His name is Chad Cascadden, and he played for the Jets for a good couple of years, so you just grow up and you see all that stuff. So that's also kind of a piece of the puzzle. And then I wish I had it to have some proof, but long story short, I'll first start with where I'm from is really well known for hunting, doing all sorts of hunting and stuff like that. So reports are Aaron Rodgers has actually come through our town, and this is obviously well before being a Jet, but my grandpa owned a Subway, and he actually came in there for lunch one time. So my grandpa got a picture of that. And then my biggest piece was, I think I was 12. So this would have been in 2012. So Favre would have been a couple years retired. And long story short, my stepdad owns some hunting property and all that. And Brett Favre came over there for about a week and got to meet with him a couple of different times. And I've got a signed, it's a Nerf, it's not a real football. It's like a Nerf Jets football. And I just remember when he just goes, "You're a Jets fan?" And I just kind of shook my head yes. And he just shook his head no and signed it and just handed it over. So I've got, like I said, I wish I had that as proof, obviously. But So there's a lot of different reasons, I guess, like why I am a Jets fan, and it is just funny to hear Connor not really, have any sort of playoff
Yeah.
stories to tell or anything like that. And I'm obviously older than you, but I'm kind of in the same boat, is what's sad, and it just
Mhm.
points to where we've been. Because, like I said, I was obviously a fan, but 9 to 10 years old, I was just happy of beating the Patriots, so
Yeah.
that was just kind of like what it was. But yeah, no, so that's just some tidbit info on that. And just like I said, I guess we didn't win 10-7 last week. It was definitely a lot more
Yep.
entertaining of a game. And I agree. I watched Matt's video a couple days ago, and I think regardless of if you're on tank, if you're on win, lose, whatever side you're on, the vitriol's wild. It's
Yeah.
just crazy to me how it's just so like wanting to point the finger at something being wrong. It's just like I do feel like it is a passionate fan base, and everyone's wanting it's their version as to how we're going to get to where we want to be at the end of
Yes.
the day, I feel like. And I will say, I think if it's my opinion on what's the most important piece for this team is obviously the tandem would be nice of GM and coach, but head coach, like obviously Vrabel's our biggest option, and just having him or a Brian Flores or a been there, done that personality is what this team I just think needs. It needs that. It needs it from the perspective of shutting the Woody Johnson noise down. We need it for whether it's, I think maybe the one thing that Matt always has brought up is just, we need a little bit of an a-hole.
Yeah.
We really do. And
Mhm.
it may not be everyone's cup of tea in the media part of it, but just for the terms of building up a team, I would love getting him in these doors for sure. But if I were to ask if it's not Rabel, where are you two at currently on what your dream one pick would be besides Rabel?
Matt.
I would say Brian Flores because I put him in the similar boat of a-hole with Mike Vrabel. And also too, I think Flores could pull Josh McCown with him, the quarterback coach.
Yes.
And
That's a good, yeah.
we know him
Never
from the
thought of
Jets
that.
too as well, but I think he is ready to be an offensive coordinator. And I think that would excite Jet fans. It might take them a minute to get over, hiring a defensive minded head coach again, but I thought he got a raw deal in Miami. And I thought, given the circumstances, he performed pretty well.
Well, we knew he wasn't afraid to put it out there. He
Yeah.
called it
That's
out
that's
what
what,
was going on too. So like he's a living representation of like, what he brings. And I
yeah.
think that's what we need. We need someone like good. I don't want to say good or the bad, but just these are my principles. This is how I
Yep. He's gonna call it.
see
Yeah. He's
and
gonna call
feel.
it up.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I need the reins of the roost, so to speak. And then you evaluate my performance in a couple years and we'll go from there, like make it's a results league, and we just need that. We need that leadership for sure.
Yeah, I'm with Matt here on the Flores McCown combination. I also don't mind Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator from Tampa. I think he'd be able to get an okay defensive mind and come over with him and make him the defensive coordinator. I wouldn't mind him. He's one of the only offensive coordinators I'd be okay with in a head
Hmm.
coaching role next season. I like McCown as OC for a couple of reasons. First off, I think he's 15 years, something crazy like that, NFL veteran. He was in the league for a very long time, and he retired after 2020. So he
Hmm.
knows what it's like to play recently. He knows, he's able to put himself in the player's shoes. He has that capability. He's familiar with the modern day offensive schemes. He's done great things with Sam Darnold as the Vikings quarterback coach this season. Also keep in mind, as crazy it is to think, the year after he retired, he interviewed for the Texans head coaching job in 2020, and then he interviewed for the same job again in 21. So it's he has experience interviewing for these high profile jobs. He knows what it's like to be a top figure in the New York market. So I wouldn't mind him at all as an offensive coordinator.
I think like if we are going to look the rookie route, and I know that our track record's not good with it. I'm not necessarily going to say I'm opposed to a defensive minded coach, but if we're going to go young and go with, another first time, I do believe it would be our best interest to go offensive route
Agree.
this time around. But Yeah, it's this season has been it's been a lot of things, and
A
like I
mess.
said earlier, just to like think that we could repeat 7-10 for the third year in a row and have that be a good finish. I
Sad.
guess just to finish, like if we beat, I will say this, like I'm not saying that winning these games necessarily do matter. I can see why losing them helps us in the future, but like I do think there's a merit to beating the Rams today. I think they're
Yeah.
hungry. They still have something to fight for. So if we put something together in these wins, I think Connor's mentioned this a lot. Like it's how we win and who we win with. It's
Yep.
who performs well is a really big piece of it. So yeah, like I said, second time caller, but I definitely plan to be more often. Like I said, I just kind of found all this stuff out
This season.
this season. So it's been a good season to find some find some unity. I can
Yep.
tell you that much. So we'll see what next season brings us, and it's just like I said. Hopefully, we can get the right people in the door. Will help us a lot. So
Love it.
There we
Thanks
go.
for hanging with us. We appreciate it.
Appreciate the call big time, man.
yeah, all as always, you guys have a good one.
You too. Enjoy the game. Great stuff.
Love it. I think we
Yeah.
close out with one more from the legend.
Yeah, an absolute legend on the line.
There he is, V-Man.
What's up?
Is that Coquito? What are we working with?
Yeah, it is. This is actually so. Right now, I just blended the condensed milk and the cream of coconut. So I'm just pouring that in a bowl to mix with my evaporated milk, and then some rum, nutmeg, and cinnamon.
Wow. Cooking with
Yep.
V-Man Part 2?
Of course, and then of course you can't. Yeah, and of course my rum of choice.
Don Q?
Yeah, this is the real Puerto Rican rum, but Cardi is Cuban.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you can see that it has the seal.
rum of Puerto Rico. I wouldn't expect anything less out of you. I'm not a big rum guy, but my fiance a couple weeks ago at our favorite spot here in town, they make a coquito, and she got it, and I had a little bit, and I thought of you, V-Man. I just wanted you to know that.
Yeah, no, I love making. Like I got a whole bunch of. Yeah, this is my holiday gift to everybody. Because it's cheap.
I like how you think.
Yeah, no. So on this with the athletic article, I agree that there's parts of it that are elements of truth in it. Yeah, I think a lot of it is obviously exaggerated to sell headlines. And I agree with your take of. I wouldn't say that we need like an a-hole to be a coach. I would just say we need a crazy person because crazy, eccentric. I think you look at the history of New York coaches in all the sports, they're generally the most successful ones are the crazy ones. You look Billy Martin, Bill Parcells,
Rex Ryan.
Girardi could be crazy at times. Rex Ryan was crazy,
Yep.
I'm probably thinking of probably some more like my head is like thinking of, but it's generally, definitely. Casey Stengel was an eccentric, was an eccentric head coach. It's like what they say. It's like you got to be crazy to handle. You got to be crazy to be in New York. It's like very rarely do we have that stoic, cold facade head coach like a Chuck Noll type guy. We have the loud, bombastic, in-your-face guy that's screaming at the top of his lungs. Those are the type of coaches that we have in New York. Most of the ones that succeed.
Yeah, we normally have.
I don't know, and obviously, Matt, you're the hockey aficionado, so you would know if there are any hockey coaches that in New York that match that resume. So,
yeah, there are definitely some that you could think. Even now, like the Islanders coach Patrick Waugh has
some energy.
He is a little bit of a hothead, so it fits.
Yeah, like I said, you need to be a bit crazy for New York. It's just the way it is, and I think Vrabel is that type of crazy that you need. Like he's the crazy, eccentric, and then like I guarantee you, his mic'd up will definitely be something to behold.
Yes, I'm a fan of Vrabel. Like you mentioned, I agree with that statement. All the high energy guys who are going to put players in their place, call it like they see it. Those are the coaches who have success in a big media market like New York. As we've seen from the Jets the past few seasons, whether it's been Saleh, it's been Gase, they take shots on these, high profile, hot shot young offensive coordinator. Saleh was the defensive coordinator. Gase was a younger offensive coordinator who I still believe did not even deserve the head coach opportunity at the time. I think it's time now you have to value experience. I think that's the right mentality.
No, I agree completely. It's like I said, you need that guy. It's like I said, New Yorkers were crazy, so you need that crazy guy to handle New York. It's just the way it is. It's just like I said, that's why you see these guys who aren't, because they're crazy, because the media is like, you got to be crazy to handle the media here, because the media is already crazy to begin with.
Yeah, 1000%. V-Man, appreciate the call. We're about 54 minutes away from kickoff. You got any predictions for today? Any final score thoughts?
I think it's gonna I do think the Jets offense is gonna flex its muscles. I don't know how the defense is gonna be. So who's banged up on defense?
No Quinnen.
Quinnen. Without Quinnen, that's it.
Yeah, I don't see them. I don't see them putting up much resistance on defense. Just sorry, it's facts is fact,
Yep.
Without him, no. So I'm gonna probably say it's a shootout. I don't know, what I think that ultimately the Rams are just gonna win by a touchdown. I'm not gonna say the exact point, but probably in the 20 to 30 range.
Okay, I can see that.
I was gonna say, here's one of the pre-made bottles I did, and you can see the label.
Fantastic.
Great stuff.
Yeah, no. All right, talk to you later. Let's hope we have an entertaining game.
There we go. Go Jets. Appreciate the call, V-Man.
Love it. As always, great to check in with him.
For sure. Yeah. What do we have? 2 more callers left on the line, Matt? You want to power
we can run
these
through
2?
Let's go to Indy Jets. He's been waiting. What's going on?
Hey guys, I just got off of Madden and I seen that the O'Leary show gained 3 points, so I figure I better call in. It's almost like buying stock.
I love it. That's so great.
We all the names that we throw out there for coaching. I see it's so underrated that Brian Flores is not really in that top tier yet. And I'm looking at his history of coaching, and you know who it really compares to, almost identical to Bill Belichick. If you look at his history of coaching, from special teams to an epic fail in Cleveland to the epic fail in Miami, back to a coordinator, head coach job, and now a second time around. Flores is young, but what is he, 43, 44 years old, something like that?
Flores, I think he's like 41 or 42.
40. I just pulled it up. He's 43.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's young. He went through an epic fail like Belichick did, almost at the same age. I'm not trying to say he's going to be Belichick, but I think we're underestimating him. Although I like Vrabel, I think I'm kind of leaning more towards, Brian Flores more. I think he maybe having that super failure that he had, maybe learned more than what Mike did in Tennessee. I don't know. It's just my 2 cents there.
Yeah, and he's done a good job.
To know what you think.
Yeah, he's been the defensive coordinator the last couple of years in Minnesota and has really gotten a lot out of him. And I think you could spin it that he's learned a lot after getting let go in 2021 from Miami. So I wouldn't hate it. I like
not at all.
I like Flores. He's probably my second option behind Mike Vrabel, honestly.
Okay. Yeah,
I'd go a home run higher too if the Jets were to hire Vrabel. Not Vrabel, Flores. Both of them, obviously, I'd view as a home run higher. I just like Vrabel more because obviously he's won the Coach of the Year award. He's taken a team. He's beat Tom Brady and the Patriots before. So I think there's just more of that proven track record that comes with Vrabel compared to Flores, who, don't get me wrong, is he 500 or one game over as a head coach? I think
24 and 25. He went
okay, so one game under 500 as a head coach in his career. I'll take that. That's higher. That's the bar's set higher already than Jets head coaches we've had the past a decade, going all the way back to
Right.
Rex. So I'd love Flores. I'd love Vrabel 1000%. I have Vrabel probably in that A+ tier, and Flores is right below him in that A tier.
And the only reason I was leaning more towards that is because we seem to, as humans, we seem to learn more through failures than we do through success. And I think that, and I was just comparing, the careers of as much as we absolutely hate Belichick, for the last 20 years. If you were to bring a Flores in and draft it, obviously we're going to be drafting a quarterback in the next year, or I hope so anyway. Is that maybe we'll draft him in the 6th round and he stays and becomes a starter for 20 years. I don't know. It's just a pipe dream, but that's all we can hope for. So I just wanted to see what your guys' take was on leaning towards Flores.
Yeah, we like him. We would be,
sure.
I think, for both Connor and I would be in on Brian Flores. I like that call.
1000%.
All right, great show, guys. Keep it up. Look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
Appreciate you, Indy Jets.
Love it. Let's go out to our guy, Ricky from New York. Ricky, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. You guys may not like this call.
Oh,
because I'm not one of those callers that just is going to call in and go, yeah, I agree with everything you guys say. Like I'm a guy that thinks for myself and come up with my own takes. And I got to say, absolutely no to Brian Flores. He is an a-hole, but he's the wrong kind of a-hole. Okay. He did not only alienate players, but coaches alike when he was in Miami. Absolutely not. Now, Vrabel, and I don't think we need an a-hole for a coach. I don't think Vrabel's an a-hole at all. What he is no nonsense. He's not going to put up with any BS. He's going to take care of business. However, the more time goes on, and people always say, oh, I don't want a first-time head coach, blah, blah, blah. Well, back in 2017, a couple teams hired first-time head coaches, McVay and Shanahan, and they both turned out pretty good. So first-time head coach isn't a deal breaker for me personally. And it's not so much head coaching experience, but experience overall in the league that I demand that we have at this position. And I'm telling you, man, the more time goes on, the more I am leaning towards Aaron Glenn.
Okay.
He's got the experience in dealing with the pressure in this market. He knows the organization inside and out from being a scout here for years. He may be more familiar with some of the problems that plague this organization than other people because he's seen it from the inside. And I think he's that kind of no nonsense kind of guy, that would also get things done. And you know what? We were the least penalized team in the entire NFL when Herm Edwards was our coach, and he wasn't necessarily an a-hole.
He just had high energy.
Yeah, but he also didn't put up with nonsense either.
Again, I mentioned it earlier. Like him and Rex. I think Rex has been like one of the best coaches because Herm Edwards obviously had that great personality built for the New York market, but he didn't have the best X's and O's in the world compared to a guy like Rex Ryan who had, again, a great personality made for the New York market, and then he had great X's and O's. So I think Herm and Rex are right up there for two of the Jets' best coaches in the 21st century for sure.
Dude, I love Rex, and we went from being in the playoffs every year, through 98 through say 2004, that whole Curtis Martin era that I love so much. And then we went through some struggles, and then in came Rex. And, the way that he talked, F Belichick, we're not here to kiss the ring. Dude, we all loved that. We needed that as a fan base. However, I think after a while, the fame got to Rex's head, and he became more of a personality than a coach. And if you really look at it kills me when fans go, oh, we have no accountability. We need a guy like Rex back. No, Rex let Sheldon Richardson and Mo Wilkerson be late to meetings. He kissed the asses of what he considered to be his stars and busted the chops of the rookies. Like, no, he did not handle things well behind the scenes. But yeah, I don't want another coach that's like buddy with the players. I want somebody who's going to come in and put his foot down and say, this is the way things are going to go, period. But yeah, man, like the more time that goes on, the more I'm really leaning towards Aaron Glenn. I know he's a defensive guy, but he's been in the league so long and has so many different connections through various organizations across the league that I have confidence in him bringing in the right offensive staff. Starting with stealing away the O-line coach from the Colts, Kevin Mawai, which I heard he's not with the Colts anymore. I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Let me check that out.
Bringing in another, former teammate with his time.
And somebody the other day in the chat was like, "Oh, so now our answer is just to bring in all former Jets." Like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. The qualifications obviously have to be there, but after retiring from the NFL, Mawai was on Herm Edwards' staff in Arizona. Then he graduated up to the NFL. He was with Indy. He's got the coaching experience, so it's not just a matter of former players. And dude, like if anybody, isn't a new Jets fan, if they were around for that era and they ever listened to Kevin Mawai mic'd up, good God, like that is somebody we need leading our offensive line. That's the kind of tenacity that we need.
Yeah, for sure. I have his head coaching career up here. So he was the Bears assistant offensive line coach for a year, an offensive analyst with Arizona State for 3 seasons, Colts assistant offensive line coach for 2 seasons, their tight ends coach for 1 season, and now he's currently in his 2nd season serving as the head coach for a private school in Tennessee.
Okay. So he did leave the Colts. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I would love to see that. And I mean, I know that people say that Woody listens to the fans, but not this one, because I've been banging my fist forever that we need to retire Mawai's number. I mean, Hall of Famer, best center to ever play the game, period, hands down. And I don't want to see some Greg Von Rotten or some other trash offensive lineman trotting out there wearing the number 68. It's disrespectful to the legacy. And but I'm telling you, man, like the more time goes on, I really, really am like throwing all my chips into the Aaron Glenn sweepstakes. I think that would be a terrific hire for us.
I think if you get, and you mentioned it, I think with a first-time defensive head coach, they got to get the offensive side of the ball right. Mm-hmm. And if he could bring in the right offensive staff, I think there's a chance it could work out.
Yeah, if you can get him over here with Tanner Engstrand, who's currently the Detroit's passing game coordinator, give him a promotion to OC. So now you have Glenn as the head coach, Engstrand as the OC. Glenn's obviously would you want Glenn to call defensive plays? I quite honestly wouldn't mind it. Like I don't know. Maybe you give it to the defensive coordinator at first. Could he handle the defensive play calling responsibilities? I don't know, but you bring Engstrand in as OC, you find DC. Glenn obviously has connection throughout the league, especially as a defensive-minded guy. Anyways, the DC is not going to play much of a big role because you have the defensive-minded head coach there already. Right. And then for the GM role, that opens up the door to a Ray Agnew, a John Dorsey, someone of those likes, who also is a part of Detroit's organization. So I'm on board if the Jets want to bring in Aaron Glenn, but right now, Vrabel's at the top of my list.
Good, and I want to say props to you, Connor. You had the name. I was going to say, who knows if Aaron Glenn doesn't bring in like some passing game coordinator from Detroit that we don't know right now, and he turns out to be the shit. You had the name, I had the position, but you actually had the name. Props to you for doing your homework, Connor. Always do your homework. That's the crux behind so many bad takes is people don't actually dig in and do the research, but I can tell you do your research. Good
I appreciate
job.
you, Ricky. That means
good work.
Thank you, Ricky.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, man, and I don't think he would have to necessarily call the plays because he's going to bring his philosophy. And the Aaron Glenn philosophy is number one priority of business is stop the run. And good Lord, do we need that here? So yeah, I'm all for it, man. And I'm worried that as this call is wrapping up, you're going to ask me for my predictions on today's game. And yeah, I just, you know what? The Jet fan in me just can't give one because I want to win every game. My hopes are not high for this. We're facing off against my two boys from Florida State that got drafted by the Rams this year, and Fisk and Verse, and they've been on fire lately. And dude, it's like a full circle moment for me as an FSU fan, because after Fisk got drafted, they asked him, is there any quarterback that you'd want to sack? And he said Aaron Rodgers. He's like, are you kidding? That guy's a legend. And so like, I just keep hearing those words over and over in my head and thinking, oh shit, I don't want to see that. I do not want to see that at all. I don't want to see that big old wrecking ball go into our quarterback. Not even once if we can help it.
No, yeah. It's going to be cold too, so it's going to make it even tougher on Rodgers. I don't know. I think they're going to rely on the rushing game a little today, especially just given the winds. It's 19 degrees, winds gusting up to 20 miles an hour. Ricky, as an FSU fan, I wanted to get your thoughts on the kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald, I believe is his name.
That's my boy. I've been saying for a while now. It's time for his Magic Part 2.
He's been pretty much automatic this season. Thoughts on if the Jets use a day 3 pick on him this year, 6th, 7th, 5th, whatever it is?
Dude, I am absolutely for it. I've been saying, I know, most people don't want to draft a kicker, but we're not talking like go in a higher round and take a Mike Nugent. We're talking like a last round pick. Absolutely, man. It's time for Fitz Magic 2.0. Ryan Fitzgerald is my boy. And he was 100% on field goals this past season. And great kid. Like, have you ever seen Nick Shine's kid? Like those two, he looks like he could be his brother.
Really?
Yes, he looks like Nick Jr. Big time. He does. He looks like a young kid, but he's a real good kid. And like you said, automatic as a kicker. Like I would take him hands down, especially considering the issues that we had this year.
There we go.
And one more thing, like there was a lot of talk this week of, should we bring Devontae back? Should we not bring Devontae back? And I was in the camp of bring Devontae back. But then there's this part of me, like in the back of my mind, I went, yeah, but you know what? It would be kind of nice to like maybe bring in a T. Higgins to put next to Garrett. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, T. Higgins gets banged up. He misses a few games a year. Devontae's not getting older. Why bring in either of those when maybe we could draft the next Adams or the next T. Higgins? And so I've kind of totally shifted gears. Man, if you want to watch some fun film, watch the highlights and the film breakdown of Savion Williams, the wide receiver from TCU. Dude, okay. He also had 300 and something rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. They kind of use him like Cordarrelle Patterson. And somebody told me the other day, oh, well, we've got Corley that can do those same things. Corley is not 6'5", 225 pounds and can truck over guys. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Savion Williams is a freak, dude. And if we get a good offensive minded coach in here, oh my God, the fun we could have with a player like that. So now I'm going with the youth movement. But
for sure,
that's my last thought. But yeah, man, like, Sycamore and those guys are kind of the ones that turned me on to Savion, listening to some of their summer scouting and their wide receiver rankings. And breaking down his film is probably the most fun I've had in a while. So that's a good watch. But thanks, guys. Have a great day, and go Jets.
Appreciate the stuff, Ricky. Great call as always, Matt. We're what now? About 35 minutes. 35 minutes now. Officially away from kickoff. Gonna wrap it up here. Final score prediction for today's game. I know we are very, very close from like a score standpoint, which we spoke about earlier.
I have it 35-27 Rams. I think we have a high scoring game. I think it'll be tight most of the way, but Rams pull away in the fourth quarter a little bit.
33-27 Rams is my score prediction. So we're literally just 2 points apart. So we're very close. high-scoring game. I think the passing attack for LA is going to be on, and now with Quinnen Williams out, that opens up a huge opportunity for Kyron Williams to just, have them pound the rock right up the middle. I think the Jets lose a tough game at home, but against a really solid Rams team, I believe, in an offense with a ton of firepower. But Matt, that'll do it for us. Another pregame show in the books. Any final thoughts?
Nope. Excited to watch this one today and a couple more pregame lives before we call it a 2024 season.
Yeah, it's crazy to think after today. Now we only have 2 more pregame shows left. The last one will be featuring guest host Doug on the couch, Doug on the bed, wherever he is in 2 weeks. But that'll do it for us. Really appreciate the support. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to both of our channels at Matt O'Leary, NY at NY Flight Jets Talk. For Matt O'Leary, I'm Connor Long signing off, and we will see you next week on the next pregame edition. JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets.